Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Excellency, Kiai Hasan Mutawakil Alambah SMM as the Critical of Sinulasan Genggong Islamic Boarding School. The Honorable Dr. Abdul Aziz W.I. Makih as Director of UNSA. The Honorable Ms. Wahyu Lestari MPD as the Dean of Scientific and Education Teaching Faculty. The Honorable Dr. Zainuddin MPD as the lecturer of Belajar dan Pembelajaran Bahasa Inggris, and respectable all my friends whom I love. Before I explain my presentation, I will introduce myself. My name is Siti Shuaibah. You can call me Iba. I'm from English Department 2024. Next, English language learning. English language learning is the process of helping learners master language skills like listening, speaking, reading, and writing, so that they are able to use English in the real life situations, not merely understand grammatical rules. The next is communicative principle. The communicative principle, there are three. The first, characteristics, second, example of implementation, and the last is objective. Communicative principle is the communicative principle emphasizes that a language is learned for communications. In communicative principle, the characteristics focus on the real use of language, not memorizations. Learns actively, speak, and interact. Errors are considered a natural part of the learning process. The example of implementations, there are dialogues, role plays, discussions, and presentation, and questions and answer activities using English in the classroom. The last is objective. In objective, learners are able to convey and understand meaning in communications. Next is contextual principle. In the contextual principle, there are three: characteristics, example of implementation, and objective. Contextual principles. The contextual principle means that learning is connected to real life situation and the daily experience of learners. In contextual principle, the first, characteristics. Characteristics, learning materials are relevant to students' experience and environments. Language is taught through context, not separate from meaning. The next, example of implementations. The example of implementations, learning vocabulary related to school, family, or the market, and creating conversation based on real life situations is like ordering food, asking for directions. And the last is objective. The objective is learners can understand and remember the material more easily because it is relevant to their lives. Next is learner-centered principles or student-centered learning. In learner-centered principle, there are three. The first is characteristics, second, examples of implementation, and the last is objective. Learner-centered principles is these principles place learner as active subject in the learning process. learner-centered principle. In the characteristics, there are three. The first is the teacher acts as a facilitator, not the sole source of knowledge. Second, learners actively explore, practice, and use the language. And the last is individual differences in abilities and learning styles are respected. And the example of implementations. The example of implementation, There are two. The first is group work, project, and presentations. The last, learners are given opportunities to ask questions and express opinions. And the last, objective. The objective to improve learners' independence, self-confidence, and learning motivations. Next, the last conclusions. The conclusion is effective English language learning should be the first, communicative. Communicative is emphasizing language used. The second, contextual. Contextual relate to real life situations. And the last, learned centers. Learners are active and the teacher acts as a facilitator. And the conclusions, by applying their principles, English language learning becomes more meaningful, enjoyable, and effective. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Excellency, Kehijasan Mutawakil Alambah SMM as a critical of Sinwasan Genggong Islamic Boarding School. The Honorable Dr. Abdul Aziz S. BIMAK as Director of UNSA. The Honorable Ms. Wahyul Lestari MPD as the Dean of Scientific and Education Teaching Faculty, and the Honorable Dr. Zainuddin MPD as the Lecturer of TIVL, and respectable all my friends whom I love. Okay, that's all for me. If you find any mistake, forgive me please. And the last I say, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.